Alright guys, what is going on? It is Super here and welcome back to another Mortal Kombat X video. And today we're going to be looking at Quan. And I know I talked about Quan a lot because he did get a significant nerf. A lot of people are dropping Summoner, saying that it's not a good variation, which I respectfully disagree with. I still think Summoner is a very good variation. You just need to spend meter to get what you want to get with him, and you definitely have to do a lot more thinking than just calling in, puggles for free and, doing all this stuff. And now that I actually get him in training mode, I can show you guys some of the differences between this Quan as opposed to the really good, some would say broken Quan, which I don't think he was broken. He was just very fucking good. He was the one-touch god pretty much. So let's get into this. By the way, for you guys who have been asking for Quan gameplay, don't worry, I will play with him, coming up here once the KP2 hype dies down a little bit and I, get my film with these new characters. I still really like Summoner. I still want to play him. I just like calling him puggles, doing all his combos. So let's get into this. The biggest change for this variation, no doubt, is the trance, and it doesn't only go for this variation, it goes across all variations. The trance, you actually are a lot less plus now than you were before. Let's see what the stats are on the trance. So the regular trance now is plus 46, and it used to be, I think, the same as the EX trance, right? It used to be plus 89, something like that. So making this plus 46, it allows you to obviously still continue your combo. You can still do your forward 2-1-2. Fuck, I haven't played with him in a while. Forward 2-1-2-2, right? All right. Oh my god. You guys see, I've only been playing with the DLC characters, so obviously it still allows you to do your combo extender, stuff like that. You definitely do not want to use up too much gravity in your combos. So if you get this right here, don't do a neutral jump punch, just go with a standing 4, so you're actually able to have enough gravity to connect your 1-4-1. Because if you do, for example, this right here, then you do that, and then you do a standing 4, you're not going to have enough gravity to actually combo into your 1-4-1 after this. He's going to fall down too quickly. Same thing goes for this. If you actually get this, your best choice is to actually do a raw trance. So then you could actually have enough gravity to combo, which shit didn't even combo right there. As you guys see, you have enough time to combo and you call in your bat. So that's what you want to do as far as his combos. Same thing with the low. You get this raw trance and go into your combo hard knockdown. So you call puggles in for free. And that is what the biggest change is to Summoner. You cannot do a trance and call in puggles for free anymore. Your opponent, if you do call in puggles, your opponent could backdash. He could do anything. Let's actually see if I could get a down 1 before him, because I remember during the patch notes they actually said that you could get a down 1 before your opponent and jail him. Let's see if that is true. I switched to, let's see, gotta make sure that I try to have the best timing with calling the bats. Alright, so I mashed down 1 here. I'm gonna mash down 1 with see, as you guys see, I couldn't even call out puggles before I was able to do a down 1. So if you try to call in puggles, you get punished for it. If you try to do a high move, then yeah, it's gonna cost you. But try to do down 2, yeah, the same. But if you do a down 1, you're gonna be able to beat your opponent. Your opponent is not that much plus than you. It's probably like neutral if you call in puggles. There you go. Actually, it's not neutral. It's fucking minus because Quan Chi's poke is 6 frames. So if my poke is beating his, then he's definitely negative after calling him puggles after a trance. So you do not want to do that as the Quan Chi player. What you want to do is just hard knock down your opponent and call him puggles. So you are able to, you know, get your zoning, because this is still very strong. This right here, you know, the zoning with puggles is still really strong. And that's what this variation was meant to do, I think. You know, zoning, you're supposed to do that, you know, stuff like that. So the zoning is still very good with the bat, but you cannot do a trance, you know, call in the bat and then go for a crazy hard to block overhead low. You know, now you actually have to hard knock down your opponent, and then, you know, try, if he respects you, you know, go in for your hard to block move. And if he is actually respecting you, maybe he doesn't know how to play, keep in mind someone who actually keeps up to date a little bit with MK is going to know that calling in puggles is not guaranteed anymore. But if you play versus someone who doesn't know, you could actually still get away with, you know, calling in the bat and going for shit like this, which this was like the strongest things that Summoner was able to do. You know, he was able to do that. He was able to do this. He could do this one, which led to, you know, a bunch of damage. You know, that was 25% already, plus, you know, whatever else he got before. So he's not able to do any of that, and that's like the huge change to Summoner. I know it's just like one thing, but it actually makes it a gigantic change. And the only way that you could actually get the same effect as before is if you do an EX trance. So let's just say I do this, get my bread and butter combo, EX trance, you know, I could call in puggles and still, you know, continue my combo as I would before, you know, pre-patch Quan Chi. So that's like a bread and butter combo I would do before. You know, if I get someone with the low, trance them, call in puggles, and do all this stuff right here. That actually used to do way more damage. They nerfed his damage as well. That used to do around 46%, 47%, close to 50 actually. And now it does, you know, a significant amount of less damage. So that does 40% for 2 bars. But the whole point of actually using your EX trance is usually to reset someone. So you do this. Obviously, you know, you go for your overhead low, stuff like that, with the EX trance. So you're back to old Summoner Quan Chi if you do use the EX trance, because you're plus 89, something like that, plus 90. And that is about it, guys. I know it's only one thing, right? Crazy how one thing changes a character so much, or changes a variation so much as it does for Summoner, but it did. A lot of people are dropping this character because he doesn't have a wake up, and I guess going into it, the EX Sky Drop is actually a lot faster than it was before. As you guys see, it's pretty quick actually. You know, obviously on wake up you're not gonna be able to instant air it, but if you're in the neutral here, the instant air one is actually pretty fast. But if you're waking up, you know, this is still fast. It's still a shit wake up, I'm not gonna lie. It's 32 frames. 32 frames, right? Sky Drop. EX Sky Drop. 29 frames. 29 frames, guys. 29. It's still a shit wake up, and it only has armor on startup. It does not have armor on the way down, so you could actually down to it. You could neutral jump punch it. I'm pretty sure that... Here, let's actually test it out. As you guys see, Quan Chi gets hit right directly in the nuts. Let's see if I can neutral jump punch it. There you go. Oh my god. Did you guys see that? Look at Quan Chi's neutral jump punch hitbox. Oh my god, it's still crazy. So, you know, the wake up still sucks. You could still do anything, you know what I mean? It's still not really a good wake up, but the fact that they did make it faster, it's definitely nice. I wouldn't call it a good wake up, but it's better than it was before. I think before it was like 40 something frames, so they shaved off a good amount of frames. If you're not ready for it, you're definitely gonna be surprised at how fast it is and how hard it is to armor break it. But like I said, a lot of people could just punish it on the way down. It's still punishable on block, so the wake up isn't that good. But also the corner damage got nerfed. Even if you like do a hard knockdown, you call in your bat, and you actually get your offense started again, this might not be so bad. See, that used to do 36%. It does 31. It's still pretty considerable difference, 6% or 5% difference. But if you do your 2-bar combo, or it used to be a 1-bar combo, because now you have to spend your extra meter on this. So let's just say you get a regular bread and butter combo here. Yay! Catch him in this, hard knockdown him, and you go for this combo right here. Haven't done this one in a long time, actually. You spend another bar of meter to be able to continue your combo. So that does 52. That used to do 60, which it's actually not bad. It's not too much of a nerf. 52% for a 2-bar combo that comes from, first of all, a 50-50. This is not a safe 50-50 because your opponent could armor in between the skull and the bat, but it's still 50-50 regardless, and it still does 52% for 2 bars. Is definitely not bad. Spend your bar of meter, call this in, and of course during this whole time you could get you go for the low as well. At any time you could reset your opponent again. The timing is not different. I don't know why I'm not getting it. See, when you don't practice a combo for a very long time, you get rusty with the execution. Come on, Quan. Okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm waiting too long. See, at any time you could just do this. That's 42% into a standing forward, which leaves you plus 19, and you have your bat out. So you could go for your really hard to block 50-50, or you could go for attempt at another really high damaging combo. See, I was waiting too long. I was misjudging the time I had. So, you could still do the same thing as Quan that you wanted to do before. You just have to spend an extra bar of meter for the EX trance. So it's up to you on whether you want to save it for the rune, which of course makes your 50-50 safe, which is something that I forgot to talk about, which is really important, right? So before, your EX runes were actually plus 7 when you meter burn it. It had a gap if you did your back 3, but the overhead one was completely, was a complete true block string. And after the EX rune, the second rune, after it hit, you were plus 7. So you're pretty much stuck there. You had to armor, you had to, do a bunch of stuff. But wait, was it plus 7 or plus 13? I think it might have been plus 13. I'm thinking about Aaron Black here with the plus 7. I think you were actually plus 13 after EX Rune, which was crazy, right? You were, not. I don't think your back 1 or your back 2 was actually completely guaranteed. I think your back 3 was guaranteed because back 3 is. See, how fast is back 3? back 2 is 15, back 3 is 10. So your back 3 was actually guaranteed after an EX rune was blocked, because it was, you know, I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was plus 13. So they definitely toned it down to -1. They really toned it down. And one of the ways that you could still get plus frames after the EX rune is if you delay it. As you guys see, you know, I could delay it for, you know, a good amount of time. But the trick is, if you delay it, you are plus, and you could get up to plus 13 if you delay it the max amount. But it does have a gap in it. So, you know, if you try to delay it to try to get plus frames on block, your opponent could always armor through it or backdash. You know, so there's that. But that's pretty much it for the summoner video, guys. You know, like I mentioned before, I think he's still a good character. He's definitely not as he was before, you know, but I think he had to change, man. He was too much. As much as I love Quan, as much as I like playing with him, having the ability to touch your opponent once and, you know, he's dead, it was a little bit too much. So, you know, not only that, but he still has amazing zoning. Like, his zoning tools are really good. The EX skull hits at, you know, a really good angle here. It does 6%. You know, you call in puggles. You could cover the screen like this. You know, the runes are still very good. They're actually better in zoning now because you can delay it. So your opponent might not be expecting you to cancel it late. So he might be starting to walk forward, and then you cancel the late EX rune, and you pop him up. You get another free, you know, rune for about 12%. You know, so I think he's still a good character. He's just not like insanely good as he was before. You know what I mean? But you still get the 50/50s. You still get, you know, your hard to block stuff, especially if you hard knock down your opponent. I don't use this string that much, so I'm not good at the instant overhead low. You know, you can still do this stuff right here. I think the timing is different actually now that I'm seeing it. Timing might be a little bit different. But, you know, 52% for 2 bars is still good. Especially in the corner, you know, you end in the hard knockdown. That means you get a free bat again. And if you want to go for meterless damage, you know, you could still go for, you know, a rune into puggles, and that's completely safe on block. They can't armor through it. It's completely safe. So I think Quan Chi is still very fucking good, and I'm gonna enjoy using him. I don't know if other people are gonna use him or not, but I love this character. I've always liked him since MK4, and I'm gonna stick with him as one of the characters that I use consistently. So that's pretty much gonna be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's Quan Chi video. It has been requested for me to talk more in depth about the changes, and that's about it. Like, I've talked pretty much you know, a good amount on the changes to Quan Chi, the EX rune, the, you know, trance, and the damage nerf. So that's gonna be it, guys. Like I said, I sound like a broken record, but I still think Summoner and Quan Chi as a whole is a very good character. I actually think Sorcerer might be his best variation now, because Sorcerer is scary as hell in the corner. But the problem with him is when he doesn't have his portals out or his spells out, he's pretty much a variation-less Quan Chi, which is still good because he still has the runes, the 50/50s, the, you know, okay damage, the good zoning. So that's going to be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.